Yeah, so yeah, sure enough, Stone Stanley came back, and oddly enough, even though I had taken Todd Nelson with me from Legends to Family Challenge, Todd was busy doing something, so he couldn't go back to shop. But Dennis, who wasn't available for Family Challenge, he did come back. So at least I had Dennis Bader from Legends with me on Shop Till You Drop. Shop Till You Drop, and again, I hadn't seen it. I don't watch game shows. Yeah. So I watched Shop, and my initial reaction was, how do these people not get killed running up and down those stairs? Because it's, for those that don't know the show, it's set in a shopping mall, and there are all sorts of storefronts, and it's a 2-level set with dual staircases on each side, okay, that lead up to the promenade, we'll call it, or whatever. And each of the store names was somebody on the show. David Stanley had a, David Sporting Goods, whatever. Heidi Kane, who was our executive in charge of production, Heidi's Housewares. Yeah, well, sure, whatever, big deal. But there were prizes in front of each of the storefronts. And in order to get a prize, you had to win a stunt. And what I liked about the show initially, it's funny, I mean, simple things. It was 2 couples pitted against each other, and they would have to compete in stunts to win prizes. And their ultimate goal was to accumulate $2,500 worth of prizes to win the actual grand prize, okay? And they had an option towards the end of the show of exchanging some of the prizes, but I'll get there. So when the show opens up, we'll just say that your team won the flip of the coin, so you get to go first. But what I really liked, whoever came up with this, was, and I don't know if other game shows have done this, or any game shows have done this, we explained the stunt to the couple, and they had the option of playing that stunt or passing it off to the other team. And I thought that was just a terrific way to start off the show, as opposed to just blindly forcing them to do it. And yeah, because again, I mean, they didn't know the next stunt might be tougher, but I just thought it was an immensely fair way to begin a program. So I kind of like that. In terms of the stunts, I was very lucky. I'm always lucky. Maybe not today. It's 11 hours we've been doing this, okay? I'm gonna need a laryngectomy. But John Kierhofer, who went on to produce Survivor. If you've ever seen Survivor, he's a producer. Back then, he was my prototype king. And what I didn't realize, coming off of Family Challenge, where we didn't prototype anything, although I explained to them, this is the best way to do any kind of stunt show, not knowing it was going to be as simple as human hot dog. All you got to do is pour ketchup. There's nothing you need to prototype, okay? Ketchup. Yeah, it's ketchup, it runs. Okay, let's go. The stunts on Shop were very pop culture in nature. There would be as simple as, here's a product. One thing I got to say about, give you an overview of how well thought out Shop Till You Drop was. Again, we got this big set, big stage, and we would set up the stunts on one half of the stage purposely. Okay, so let's say we're doing the first stunt, and it's on the left side of the stage. Okay, so we bring the couple over, and they're on the left side of the stage, and we start doing it. And it could be as simple as we bring a wall in, and we had so many different pedestals, like an 8-foot by 2-foot pedestal, or a 4x4, zillions of pedestals that open and reveal things, so that we were prepared for every possible kind of stunt. I thought that was brilliant. And again, I inherited that. We had to create more for the different stunts, but instead of just using a box or something, these were, it facilitated the stunts so much better. And again, Stone Stanley, just brilliant to doing this. But again, they had experience from Funhouse, and that kind of trickled down. Anyway, okay, so let's say the stunt was match the product to the person who advertises it. Okay, like you got Charlize Theron up there, and you got to pick the right makeup product and put the makeup next to her face. By the way, we always used, if you watch Til You Drop, we always used magazine covers.
Mm-hmm.
Magazine covers are clearable. If you use photos, the photographer can sue you, but a magazine cover is in the public domain, which is why we always use magazine covers. And we did a lot of those. Anyway, so while they're doing that stunt, and this is what I thought was brilliant, and I didn't come up with it, the second stunt is being set up by the other segment producer. And basically, so as soon as Pat starts talking about the other stunt, we're moving in quietly, pedestals, etc., so that magically, when that stunt is over at 60 seconds, boom, we don't have to stop down. We go over to the other side, and while we're doing that stunt, the other team, they're setting up the next stunt. And it worked like that back and forth, and it was just so clean because, again, we never had to stop down. Taping 5 shows in an 8-hour day, very easy. And going back to John Kirchhofer, we would prototype these smaller stunts, but I always wanted to do silly stunts. I remember, some of the stunts I'll say I came up with. I mean, as simple as, I did a lot of not a lot, but I did at least 2 or 3 taste
testing.
Yeah, it's 15 hours we've been doing this stunts, where at one point I'm using a baby bottle, okay, and they got to figure out what they're drinking from a baby bottle. Another time, they're squirt guns, okay, and the wife is squirting into her, and of course he's getting all wet. It's ginger ale, it's whatever, okay, that kind of stuff. Then and likewise taste, baby food, it's corned beef, or it's we'd pick odd items to puree and make it into baby food. Not that they were all food stunts, I'm just picking that as David Greenfield kind of stupid stuff. I also did odd things like melted products. John Kirchhofer would take a blowtorch and melt part of a blender. And also, I don't remember the names of them, but I remember somehow we would take 2 household items and combine them. And again, John Kirchhofer was brilliant at doing this. I mean, again, he was off campus. We were in an office, and we had him in a warehouse where he could paint and build and cut and so and do the prototypes, because again, all of these stupid, silly ideas that I would have, including building a cow where you had to milk the cow and weird stuff would come out of the udders. That one didn't make it on the show, but at least we were able to prototype it. And we had so much fun, Dennis, John, and I, Scott, Kevin, everybody that worked on the show. The prototype sessions were fun. And, whether it was David that came over or Scott that came over, some of them they would love. Some of them, again, like the milking one, it's just, you're out of your mind, but they would laugh about it because, again, we're not, we're never over budget. That's for sure. We always stayed within budget because, again, Stone Stanley, brilliant executive producers, and Heidi Kane doing a great job, of keeping the budget, knowing where we were all the time. So that was kind of a dream. I won't go into all the various types of stunts, but they were all shopping related. And Pat Finn, as the host, and again, I always seem so complimentary, but Pat, wonderful human being, handsome, glib, humorous. I don't think there's an audience member that could not like Pat Finn. I could see, I don't like Chuck Woolery, or I don't like that guy, or I could see them not liking just about anybody. But nobody can't like Pat Finn, in my opinion. Pat is now a life coach, among other things, and spoke to him the other day. Great guy. So yeah, that was a dream come true, except for the end. again, like I mentioned up top, the goal was to get $2,500 worth of prizes. Okay, so they had a set amount of boxes, decorated boxes with gift wrapping on them that were easy to open, and the couple would have to decide who's going to be the buyer and who's going to be the exchanger. Okay, like that's a word, the exchanger. Okay, so the buyer was always the woman and the exchanger was always the guy. Why? Because the buyer would simply open up the box, see what's in it, determine if the value was enough to get past the 2,500, because we would tease the fact that there was one item in one of the stores somewhere, and of course probably be on the second story because it's farther to get to, that was worth over we'll say it's worth $700, which would certainly get him over the top. And we would change the place, obviously, every show, 5 shows in a day. So assume that the woman is the buyer. So she takes out a camera and she says, exchange it. So the guy goes running, okay, and generally, I mean, this is a literally large staircase, and nobody ever used the handrail. And most of the guys, because it's a timed round, they're taking them 2 steps at a time. And while I could tell you that on Legends, no kid really got hurt, so many people, of course, you know, we had a medic. Well, you always have to have a medic on stage for any TV show, certainly any game show. But so many people tripped, fell. I mean, not, when I say not a dozen people, but I'd say at least 3 or 4.
I remember it
a little bit, yeah, during the course of. But I mean, it's their own fault. I mean, their own fault. They could take a little more. We had enough time built in, but just like the temple run, you know, you're just going to go as fast as you can. You're not going to, how much time do I have left? Although Pat is calling out the time. But again, just running up and down those steps made me nervous. And again, God bless them, not that many people fell. Yeah, it was fun. That was very exciting end game, because then, you know, we would put the prizes. We knew the value of the prizes, and we put them in such an order so that the very last prize would make or break whether they were able to win or not. And again, there was a way, because what they had done with the prior years of Shop, they figured out which of the stores the contestants went to the most. And so we tried to put obviously the bigger prize in those stores as opposed to hide them, because again, we wanted wins. And I forget how many wins we had, but Scott and David were thrilled with the outcome of, I don't remember how many shows we did. I'm going to guess 40. But whatever the amount of wins that we had, it pleased both the network and Scott and David, and more so than the prior years. You know, whatever it was that we were supposed to hit, we hit it right on the money. Only because, again, Rachel Bressler, who's doing the prizes, and I, you know, we really worked our butts off on doing that. And again, Pat was brilliant at getting the prizes and putting them in order, although it seemed rather easy to do, it really wasn't. Because again, you wanted to add tension to, in actuality, something that's kind of dull. You know, you're opening up a box, oh, it's this and it's worth this, tell them about it, etc.
So on and so on.
But anyway, so that was Shop Till You Drop, and it taught me a lot about you know, prototyping smaller stunts. Also, you know, working with John Kierhofer was eye-opening, because again, this guy could build and do anything in 5 minutes. It was great. And yeah, you know, Dennis did a terrific job. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience, especially coming out of Family Challenge, where I was so disappointed in the stunts. And again, I'm not taking credit at all. You know, I put the stunts in order. I came up with many of the stunts myself, but again, I tend to go for the more humorous stunts. It's just my nature. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I would love to do that show again. But immediately after that show, I was offered another gig.